All right, good afternoon, everyone. It is 2:01 p.m. We're going to get started. This is the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee. I'm Councilman John Bullock, chair of the committee. Definitely want to introduce our members. First, Vice Chair Schleifer of the 5th District. We also have Councilmember Cohen of the 1st, Councilman Dorsey of the 3rd, Councilman Burnett of the 8th, and Councilwoman Shannon Sneed of the 13th District. We are also joined by Councilman Leon Pinkett of the 7th District, who has an item in front of us today. Also glad to be joined by the Mayor's Office of Government Relations, Planning Department, as well as CHAP, Law, BDC, and HCD. Thank you all for joining us today. I have a relatively short agenda, but do want to get into it. So the first one that we have in front of us is City Council Bill 200548, Ordinance Landmark List Reed Calloway House. Also want to thank Richard Krumberg, staff to the committee, for helping us with this one. Before we go on to CHAP, I did want to hear from Councilman Pinkett if you'd like to make any comments before we get started on this bill.
Thank you, Chairman Bullock. Yes, I'd like to make some brief remarks. The matter that's before us today, as it relates to the landmarking of what's called the Reed Calloway House at 1316 North Carey Street, is an opportunity to memorialize and to honor and celebrate not only the life of Cab Calloway, whom most are familiar with, but it's also an opportunity to celebrate Cab's family. Many don't know that his maternal grandmother had a significant impact in his development and his development as a young person, but also as a development in music. And so this was the home, 1316 North Carey, was the home of his maternal grandmother. And so this is an opportunity for us not only to celebrate Cab Calloway, but to celebrate the entire family and their contribution, not just to the city of Baltimore, but even beyond. So thank you for the opportunity to present and give remarks on this bill today. Thank you.
Well, Councilman Pinkett, you are more than welcome, and thank you for highlighting this and bringing this to the attention of the council. I do have the pleasure of representing the council on CHAP, and I see some of our CHAP friends with us. Do want to provide an opportunity for folks to give us a little background on the piece. So, Eric Holcomb, if you want to take a stab at it, feel free.
Yeah, thank you so much, Councilman. I really appreciate it, and I apologize for my technology sort of ignorance. I'm getting to be an old man.
We're all working on it.
Right. I don't want to say too much about it because the expert about this house and the history is Lauren Shizik, and I want to give her time to really speak to it. I just want to thank Councilman Pinkett for this opportunity to really find a house that's associated with Cab Calloway, the Calloway family, and the Reed family, which is very important in terms of civil rights. And I think it's really important for us to capture this history. And CHAP is has been making a concerted effort to really push forward with landmarks in this community. This community is extremely important, not only for Baltimore history, but for the country. And I appreciate the chance to really get out there and learn more from all of you all and from the folks that live there and other historians. And with that in mind, thank you so much for having this thing. And I would just, maybe we could pass the baton to Lauren and she could speak to the history.
Yeah, absolutely. Lauren, please go ahead.
Okay. Thanks. I wasn't anticipating speaking, but I just want to again just lift up what Councilman Pinkett said. This house I think is so important because so rarely do historic designations acknowledge extended families and the importance of larger family units as important in someone's life. And in this case, with Cab and Blanche Calloway's maternal grandmother, Annie Credit Reed, her home at 1316 North Carey Street, while Cab and Blanche only lived there for 2 years, they were there so often. Their extended family was there, uncles, Their brother lived there after they moved to Chicago and asked their mother to move with them to Chicago. Their younger brother moved back in with his grandmother so he could finish school at Douglas. So I think that, this house was in the family for over 40 years and was really the home base for the Reed, Credit, and Callaway families. And so it was just such a pleasure to be able to dig into this really important and very deep history, of which there is so much here in Baltimore. And as Eric said, we're working hard to uncover and honor so much more of it, but we are not the experts. Really, our citizens are the experts, and we really hope that more folks will reach out to us and request landmark designation for important sites, both in Baltimore, that are important to Baltimore and the country at large. Thank you. If anyone has any questions, happy to answer them.
Well, again, I'll just say thank you so much. I see we're joined by Councilman Bill Henry, who was my predecessor on CHAP, and I will say that experience has been very eye-opening in terms of some of the history around Baltimore City, and I'm happy to see this focus on West Baltimore in terms of its history, so it is fantastic. Are there any questions from the committee before I go to the agency reports? Okay, not seeing any. I will just note that the reports we have are all favorable from planning through law and the BMZA housing, BDC, and CHAP. It seems like everybody stands by the reports. Are there any deviations at this point? Okay. All right. I see thumbs up from folks. I see smiles, head nods. So I think we are looking good. If there are no other comments, is there any public testimony anybody signed up to testify? Sure, we'll check with see if attendees want to testify, so hold tight.
Okay, we have Queenie McCall.
Excuse me?
Queenie McCall.
Queen McCall?
Queenie.
Oh, okay. My name is McCall, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Were you going to testify?
I'm confused.
Are you here to testify? That's the only question.
Oh, okay. No, I was going to make a comment, not testify. No.
Oh, sure, please. Feel free.
Oh, no, Cab Callaway was my father's cousin. And the last time I spoke to him, I'm here in Delray Beach, Florida, and he was in my husband's office in Boston. My husband's name was Barry Rosenthal. He passed in 1994. So he and Cab, I guess they were talking about doing a film because my husband was an entertainment attorney. And I had never spoken to him before, and my husband put me on speaker because I was at home. But anyhow, that was my opportunity to speak to him, and he was saying, "Oh yes, I remember your father," and he sang a little bit. So that was it. So I'm here because I have a lot of Reeds in my family in Baltimore. Vernon Reed, Andy Reed, and Kathy Reed are my relatives, and they brought me into this conversation. So thank you.
No, thank you. I mean, we've just mentioned about trying to recognize family and extended family, so you're right on time. So we're happy to have your voice at the table and lending credence to this conversation today. So thank you so much.
Okay.
It was confusing for me because I thought they said Queen McCall, and my name is McCall. That's my first name.
Yeah, got it. Not a problem.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, then we have Kathy Reed. Kathy Reed.
Hi, this is Kathy Reed. I would just like to thank the committee for this consideration. And I am a direct descendant, as well as McCall Creedle is my aunt. We're direct descendants of Andrew and Annie Reed. We're through the son of Andrew and Annie Reed. His name was also Andrew. He was Andrew Jr. And McCall's father and my father was Vernon Reed. And And but we are just thankful that there's being some consideration for the talents of my ancestors, my cousin, my great-great-grandmother, and the rest of the family. I do not know some of the family, but this is a good opportunity for us to reach out and start pulling things together to try and get some recognition for a man who has made a great impact on not only Baltimore, but on the New York and the rest of the country and the rest of the world. And growing up, my grandfather played the drums with his cousin, but growing up, I used to hear him talk about his first cousin Cab all the time. And so it's just a welcome to see this happening. And I want to thank Laura and Eric for just keeping us posted on this and inviting us to this meeting. And thank you, City Council. I'm going to thank you ahead because I'm going to be positive that things are going to go forward. Thank you.
Again, thank you so much. You can, if you can see everybody, we have a lot of head nods and smiles because it's great to have that texture added to this conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Looks like Haley Miller. Haley Miller.
Oh, I'm not testifying. Sorry, I'm just listening.
Okay.
Thank
you. So, okay. Now we have Carlos Alejandro.
Oh, am I testifying?
It's your time.
Okay, well, I'm the executive director of the Cab Calloway Foundation, which represents the estate as well as the a part of the family, and it's with we sent a letter, and I'm hoping perhaps that you will read that. It's this is really an important landmark to be recognized because of the reads and the credits, and I would love to hear more of these stories that I'm hearing, just because I am that person. I am the archivist of basically the Calloway Reed credit, Bushrod credit. I can just go down the list of people whose stories I know and whose names I know, and it's just endless and it's beautiful. So thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Okay. Finally, we have call-in user number 3. Call-in user number 3. When you hear the dots, you're on. Call-in user number 3. No response, Mr. Chair.
All right. Well, again, I appreciate everyone's work on this, appreciate the testimony and the agency feedback. If there's no other questions or testimony, I will accept or entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Moved by Councilman Henry.
Second.
Sneed will second.
Look at Burnett beat you to the punch, Sneed. Looks like. All right. So it's moved by Henry, second by Sneed.
Okay. Chair Bullock.
Yes.
Chair Bullock votes aye. Vice Chair Schleifer.
Yes.
Vice Chair Schleifer votes aye. Mr. Burnett.
Yes.
Mr. Burnett votes aye. Mr. Cohen.
Yes.
Mr. Cohen votes aye. Mr. Dorsey.
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey votes aye. Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. Henry votes aye. Member Sneed.
Yes.
Member Sneed votes aye. Mr. Chair, there are 7 votes in the affirmative, no negative. We can go to second reading at the next meeting, and the bill will have to be double read if we say the current calendar.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much. It is now 2:16 p.m., so we're going to move on to our second issue for the day, which is City Council Bill 200524, Ordinance City Streets closing 10-foot alley bounded by Harford Road, Normal Avenue, and Cliffview Avenue. This is an administration bill, and sponsor is Council President Scott. I see that we have the mayor's office. I don't know if anybody for transportation, but does anybody want to speak to this bill?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Matt Stegman from the Mayor's Office of Government Relations. It's a pretty simple bill. First off, we apologize for bringing it to you a little late. I know we had the epic DOT bill hearing last week, and somehow this one got overlooked. Basically, the bill is necessary to consolidate a parcel for a community park, and we would ask the committee for a favorable report.
All right, thank you very much. Looks like the agency reports are all favorable at this point. Is there any additional commentary or questions at this point? Not seeing any. If not, then we'll entertain a motion.
I move the bill, Mr. Chair.
Okay, moved by Burnett. Is there a second?
Second.
Was that Dorsey? Second by Dorsey. All right.
Get ready for roll call, sir?
That's indeed.
Okay, Chair Bullock.
Yes.
Chair Bullock votes aye. Vice Chair Schleifer.
Yes.
Vice Chair Schleifer votes aye. Mr. Burnett.
Yes.
Mr. Burnett votes aye. Mr. Cohen.
Yes.
Mr. Cohen votes aye. Mr. Dorsey.
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey votes aye. Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. Henry votes aye. Member Sneed.
Yes.
Member Sneed votes aye. Mr. Chair, 7 votes in the affirmative, no negatives. Second reader on the next meeting, and this one also will have to be double read.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It's probably one of the shortest hearings we've had. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And Councilman Dorsey wanted me to remind you not to park in bike lanes. So with that,
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, please tell them that I already do. I always do.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Take care.
Okay, we're adjourned.